In this lesson, we're going to look at direct variation. And the good thing is we've already kind of talked about direct variation. And so I think it's going to feel very familiar. So direct variation is basically the same thing as being proportional. It's just another name for it. And you know, us mathematicians, we like to do that to you. It's just the same thing as being proportional. So let's review what it means for a representation to be proportional. So we know that, number one, if it's on a graph, the graph goes through the origin, right? And we know that the origin is 0, 0. We know that that's the same thing as saying that the y-intercept is 0. A lot of times we're saying that there is no y-intercept, but remember there is a y-intercept. It's just that it's 0. Okay? And then we know that our equation needs to be in the form y equals kx or y equals mx. And we should know that k, that constant, has that unique ratio of y divided by x. So all of those things that applied to proportional, same thing for direct variation. Now, the formula or the equation for direct variation, again, is just y equals kx. We know that. And in order to write the equation, all we have to do is find k, which is called the constant of, so here's another name, the constant of variation. But remember, this is the same thing as proportional. So when we talked about the constant of proportionality, all of these things are the same thing. They all still have that unique ratio of y over x. So constant of variation, constant of proportionality, all of that is the same. Okay? Okay, so let's look at some examples of how to write this equation. So the graph of a direct variation equation contains the point 6, 8. I am telling you that this point is part of a direct variation graph. Okay? So we know that 6 is our x and 8 is our y, right? So two ways that we've kind of learned to do this. We know that in order to find k, all we have to do is y divided by x, and then we can write our equation. And so if I look at this point, the y is 8, the x is 6, and then we would want to make sure we simplify that. 2 goes into both of those, so that would be 4/3. So our k value is 4/3, which means our equation is y equals 4/3 x. Okay, simple as that. Now, a second way to do it, remember, is that if you can't remember the little formula y over x, then we're going to take our equation, y equals kx. We're going to plug 8 in for y. We're going to plug 6 in for x, and then we're going to solve this equation. So we know to solve for k times x, the opposite is to divide by x, or to divide by 6. Times 6, divide by 6. That's the opposite. So that's still giving us the same result of 4/3. And so it would still be y equals 4/3 x. So two different ways that you can look at being able to find the k. Okay, here's another example. What is the direct variation equation if y equals 9 and x equals -3? And then it says find y when x equals 8. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we've got to write our equation. They gave us an ordered pair, just in a little bit different way. So we still need to find that k value. Okay, so y over x, so 9 over -3, which is 9 divided by negative 3 is negative 3. So our equation is y equals negative 3x. Okay, that's one answer. Now we're going to use the equation. We're going to use the equation to find y when x equals 8. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my equation and I'm going to plug in 8 for x. Simple as that. And so what is y when x equals 8? Y is negative 24. So there is your second answer. Simple as that, right? Okay, here's an example of a table. The table represents direct variation. I've already told you that it's direct variation. I've already told you it's proportional. So all I want us to do is write the equation. So remember, to write the equation, we just need to find k. And since we already know we don't have to test every single point, I can just take one point, and remember, we're going to do y over x. So 6 over 4, which would be 3 over 2. So our k is equal to 3 over 2, which means the equation is y equals 3 over 2x. Really important that we're doing this last step and actually writing the equation, because that's what it's asking us to do. It's simple as that. Let's add another piece to this, just so we can see it. So now maybe I might say, find y when x is 8. Let's add another piece to that. Find y when x is 8. So again, all we're going to do is take our equation. Wherever we see an x, we're going to plug in 8. So y equals 3 over 2 times 8. Don't be scared of fractions. This is where your graphing calculator, your Desmos calculator, or a regular graphing calculator are going to come in handy. But since I'm not pulling up my calculator, just remember fractions. We would put the 8 over 1. We could go straight across, and that would give me 24 over 2. And 24 divided by 2 is 12. You could test that. Test that with your calculator. Make sure that you're really getting 12. Okay?